Within U.S. history, we have always seen countless different traditions arise. One being the State of the Union address occurring every year, where the president addresses a joint session of the Congress in hopes of addressing the democracy truly working in action. But this current State of the Union address, intending upon us on February 7th, is only leading to countless different questions, including will Joe Biden stutter through his speech, or will he engage in an amazing speech that both parties will love? Most likely the former, but sadly, we will never see a true bipartisan address. But despite this, we must beg the question, what should President Biden speak about at the State of the Union in 2023? And currently, we can see that the clear answer is simply improvement. And we can see this clear improvement through three main areas, including first, inflation, secondly, unemployment, and lastly, student loan debt. With these three areas, we can see the importance of discussing improvement during this year's State of the Union. Throughout our time, we have seen Republicans and Democrats continuing to fight across the aisle. One of the main topics this past year being inflation. As inflation continues to affect our nation, we must recognize that there have been strides made to improve our situation. With CBS News reporting on January 11th of 2023 that just recently, in December alone, we witnessed a fall to 6.5% in terms of the inflation rate. This inflation rate continues to decrease from the peak in the summer of 2022, where it hit about 9.2%. This clear improvement has allowed us to see a future and a brighter tomorrow for our country. And this only continues to allow us to see our consumer expectations continue to decrease as well. With Reuters News reporting on January 10th of 2022 that currently the consumer inflation expectation rates are set to be at the lowest that they have been in the past 2 years. We have seen 2 years of difficulties in terms of inflation and countless other issues, including a pandemic. But we have seen a clear development and a betterment of inflation, and we are only seeing how we're bettering and progressing as a nation overall. But despite this, we must continue on to discuss economic principles that my economics teacher bored me to death with last semester. One being unemployment. Unemployment continues to affect our nation, but we have seen our nation progress. With Reuters News once again reporting on January 13th of 2023 that just recently the unemployment rate recently fell to about 3.5%. This matches a 53-year low. And this has only allowed us to see an improvement in unemployment rates overall as we're continuing to witness new jobs being introduced to our economy. And President Biden continues to show us the clear improvement that he has strived for within his administration. Alongside that, according to Forbes News, on January 11th of 2023, just in December alone, our country introduced about 223,000 jobs. These jobs, well, I am not that great at math, truly seems like a lot. But this only continues to allow us to see clear improvement within our nation's economy. And it continues to allow us to see a brighter tomorrow simply through the means of allowing people to enter into the workforce. But despite this continued entrance into the workforce is due in part to education. While the younger voter demographics continue to be affected by student loan debt, and even my father, who is 52 years old, he's still paying off student loan debt. We continue to witness the flaws of our country through the means of student loans. But despite this, President Biden has introduced countless measures in hopes of addressing these student loan debts. And this has led to the discussion of forgiveness of these loans, despite Republicans across the aisle continuing to disagree and pushing instead for tax cuts for the rich. But according to CBS News on January 10th of 2023, just recently, Biden has announced a new plan that if he is blocked by the Supreme Court and Republicans to forgive student loan debt, that he will simply push to overhaul the current system in which we were able to base repayment systems on income-driven repayment plans. By overhauling this system, we are able to move past a time where people are affected by their inability to repay their student loans as they continue to be affected by these large amounts of money every single month that affect credit scores heavily. But despite this all, we can see a clear improvement. And even as SCOTUS and the Republicans within the House and the Senate continue to push back against this discussion, we're witnessing a clear focus on helping voter demographics simply through the means of student loan debt forgiveness. And alongside that, we're only seeing how the other party has been reacting, with Kiplinger News reporting on January 11th of 2023 that SCOTUS is currently set to hear a case pertaining to student loan debt forgiveness within this coming month. And seeing as it is currently February and they still haven't heard this case, we're doing pretty well. But overall, we can only see how President Biden has been affected by this, but he has shown clear dedication to this topic and has shown clear progress within our nation. So when discussing the State of the Union, we must understand that, while I am not the president, even though I should be, I must continue on to see how different presidents discuss different issues and bring about the discussion of progress throughout these years. And returning to our question today, what should President Biden speak about in the State of the Union address in 2023? We must simply see the progress that has been made, in part due to inflation, unemployment, and student loan debt. And as our nation continues to be affected by countless issues, we must simply see the positive sides of our democracy and push to recognize democracy in action in hopes of bringing a brighter tomorrow for all generations.